This is the first photo I found. It was pretty, it's interesting on a lot of levels. If I could go back and talk to young Chris, there's so much I'd love to tell him. Tragically, I cannot. But I now learned why I stand with my leg out. Apparently, I've been doing that since the day I was born. Shockingly, I'm 6 years old in that photo. When I asked my mom about that, because there was a date on the back that said November 2nd, 1986. That's actually at the Westfield Y. I think they still have that painting, believe it or not. They have those waves on the wall. I asked about it. I was like, man, I knew I was like always a big kid. And she's like, no, Chris, we used to like bring the birth certificate with us to the swim meets. You know, people would ask, you were pretty tall. You were on pace to be about 8 foot at one point. And I was like, oh, okay. So this is my first meet ever. If I could go and talk to young Chris, body language isn't great, but it was my first time ever doing it, and I'm 6 years old, so what did I know? Next photo. This is me on the block, lane 5. I'm excited. I'm watching, ready to race. Not a lot of fans. I don't even see timers. Who knows what we're about to do? But believe it or not, that is my first swim race of my life, and I swam until I was 23 years old, so I had a long time in the sport. This is me. You probably can't see it. 5th place ribbon, 6 kids in that race. I did beat 1 kid. So the birth certificate height advantage wasn't playing much to me at that point, but I did beat somebody. That's actually my sister there as well. My family moved a little bit. We didn't move much. We've always been in New Jersey. I actually swam for the Westfield Y until I was 14, and I see Mr. Boynton in the back. I swam my high school career at the Montclair Y. We actually switched teams and we moved a little bit. That's not here or there. I actually had some health issues as a kid. There was a reason why I chose swimming. There's a reason why swimming really benefited me as a sport. What I could draw as I look back as an adult now, it's actually unbelievable as a kid at age 14 who switched schools, switched teams, how my experience really translated. It was very much the same. Great staff at the Westfield Y, tremendous staff at the Montclair Y. I was welcomed in immediately. Even though maybe the course of the pathway changed, the outcome certainly didn't change, and I never felt like I went off course. So what the Y goes for translates as you move through it. Go to the next one. This photo is bizarre, but I found it and I wanted to share it. That's my sister and I'm guessing seniors in high school, something like that. Bathing suit technology changed. It's actually at the Montclair Beach Club. It's at a pool that we swam in the mornings, much like our team swims at Camp Carr. The Montclair Y swam there in the mornings. The swimming, the Y, was just always a constant in my family's life. And you realize it at the time, but as a kid, you don't really realize the impact that the Y was having on you as you grow up. I went on to college. I swam through that. I'd come home every summer. I'd be a member at the Montclair Y. I worked a little bit at the Montclair Y. It became still my home base. Every time I came back, it became my home base. Quick little story, and I don't want to put him on the spot. He's going to talk later. Mr. Boynton was the former CEO of the Montclair Y. He's going to talk. We've met a few times. I'm not expecting you to remember me. All I remember as a kid at the Montclair Y was he came up and shook my hand once. We were leaving for Y Nationals, and he's like, "Don't embarrass this Y." I didn't embarrass. Maybe not publicly. I don't know. I might embarrass the coaches, but otherwise, I didn't embarrass the Y. So anyway, I graduated college. Swimming's a type of sport where, you graduate college, you could, unless you're Michael Phelps, you're done. I mean, there's no money, there's nowhere to go. It really is just kind of a recreational thing. Started a job and, kind of the office thing. Who knows where that would have went, but I kind of knew it wasn't for me, or I felt like I was missing something. So where my Y path took another turn was I went to the Feinthel Scotch Plains Y. I think many people in this room can relate to this. I took a job working there 2 hours a week. Saturday morning, 2 hours a week. It was my recreation. It was the chance for me to be a knucklehead. You'll see in the next photo. This is the type of things I was doing at the Feinthel Scotch Plains YMCA. That's the aquatics office. I'm on some sort of balance board, just kind of hanging out on a Saturday. For all you guys who I know the Y changes after about 8:30 every night. I was there. I used to live that world. I know on Sundays things get relaxed. Frank might not be here, Kristen, Luann, whoever, myself, we know that things get relaxed. It's okay. I'm not supposed to say that, but it's It's okay. So anyway, that was me. 2 hours a week, 2 turned into 10, 10 turned into 20. Hey, Chris, can you work 15 hours on a Sunday? Sure, yeah, that's fine. Which my pathway kind of weaved again, and it started into a full-time position and ultimately a career. I was at the Feinthel Scotch Plains Y for 8 years, lucky enough that I got the opportunity to come here. Here I am, trying to hopefully continue my career, but my pathway took some other turns. Next one. This is my wife and I. We met through the Y. Not to be surprised. It's going to be a common theme. I remember I went to Bucknell University. It's a small school in Pennsylvania. They'd always tell you as freshmen, oh, odds are you're going to meet your wife here. 60% of Bucknellians marry a Bucknellian, all this, whatever. My sister ended up marrying my teammate, so we kind of held close to the percentage. I ended up gravitating and finding my wife at the Y. I'd love to know what the Y stat is. I bet it's shockingly high. Members who get together, staff people who get together. Anyone else in this room meet their significant other at a Y? Here you go. Dr. Schwenkler, I want to hear the story later. That's my wife and I. That's actually the bridge in Clinton. Our connection to this Y was I was working in Scotch Plains. She was working at the Y of Eastern Union County. We were actually members here. Got to know Herman, got to know Kim. We'd go to Round Valley some nights, and I guess we're still members. I'm a member. I work here. She's a member. We all kind of come. Next. This is my son, Cooper. Cooper comes with me every Saturday morning. I don't want to get upset, but he comes with me every Saturday morning, and we swim together. And he's starting his own pathway now. It's actually Cooper on Halloween at our Child Learning Center. He comes with me every morning at Round Valley. I pick him up every night around Valley. I see Miss Diane, Miss Stacy, Miss Abby sitting together. They're Cooper's tremendous teachers. Let's give them a round of applause. But why I wanted to include Cooper was I started at 9 months. He started at 6 weeks. We were like, oh, we're going back, my wife, we're going back to work. He's going with you. Away we go. 6 weeks in to life, he was a Y member. Why I wanted to bring Cooper in a little bit was each member comes in, and kind of the goal in membership, if you've ever heard the 3 C's, a member comes in casual, we want to connect them to the Y, ultimately we want to make them committed. The connection is linking our members to each other, to other members, to our board, ultimately to our community. Cooper and I will have a very different path, but it will always be connected. Obviously with his dad, it's a little different story. But he's starting his own pathway just like every member who comes in. This year so far we've onboarded over 200 new full facility members. They all have a different story. Some of them are in their first week, some of them are, we're in May, so they're 5 months in. Kind of my ask to all of you is, every single person we meet, whether it's in school-age childcare, aquatics, healthy living, anywhere, Camp Carr, it's an opportunity for us to just create that environment. We're not going to personally connect with every single person we meet. That's impossible. But the hope is we're creating an environment where they can learn, grow, thrive. I think that's another one of our YMCA catchphrases. As staff, I take that as a huge responsibility. I know all of you do as well. I'm saying a thank you to you for the hard work that you do. Keep it up. Let's not forget the impact that we're really having on our members, because you never know who the next, Y professional that you're going to meet who's going to kind of walk through the doors 30, 40 years later. I think there's another slide. My Y story. Kind of the call to action, what we are hopeful is that all of you would be interested in sharing your story. It's only a note card. It's only going to take a couple lines. The incentive, the good news is, we're going to do a little raffle. So everyone who enters, we'll do a raffle. You get a paid day off for whoever wins. So I think that's a pretty good incentive to share your life story. But on a more impactful level, the hope is that everyone shares their story. We're going to start posting them in the branches. And the real work would be if we could get some of our members to share their stories. So I think that's how we're going to go viral, so to speak, use a new term, and really connect with this community and share the great things that we're doing. I don't know if we're always the best self-promoters at the Y. And can we continue to just share our message to the community why the Y is so much more? That we're not the gym and swim. We're not just a place to come rent treadmill time or just use some of the equipment. We're a place where you can really come and find an outstanding outcome, whatever it is that you want. So you all have these cards. Please take them home with you. I think there's one more slide that gives like some instructions. Take the card home with you. Turn your Y story into the HR department by May 16th to be entered in the raffle. We're going to share our Y stories throughout the branches. We're going to encourage the members. If you don't work in one of the if you do work in one of the branches, you can either just drop the card to your supervisor and they'll put them in the inter-office mail, or you could do that directly into the inter-office mail. If you work off-site, on the way out, we actually have stamped envelopes for everybody who can grab one, take it at home, throw it in the mail, and it'll go right back to the HR department. I know I'm standing between you guys and dinner. I can't thank you all enough for the opportunity to share my story, for the work that you guys are doing.